Goodness, we are live. Okay, so people will hopefully find us here. Um, the link that I had set up earlier obviously didn't work, and so um, it might take a little while for people who were hoping to join to find us. But the great news is that it'll actually be recorded. So we can always share it back later. So if it's just you and me chatting, oh, but I see people are joining. So yay, wonderful. Um, yeah, well, maybe just give it a couple of minutes because, yeah, obviously we had some great technical difficulties. It's 11:10 and we are here.
Made it.
We made it. I guess maybe let's start with intros, and then if people join us and they miss the intro, they can always watch back and catch the intro on the rewatch. So I will start, and then I will give you a chance to introduce yourself as well. My name is Heidi Wald-Giesbrecht, and I've been here on Substack since November of 2025. I live in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, Canada, which is a beautiful place to live. And Courtney and I discovered each other here on Substack, and we live actually just a ferry ride apart, so fairly close to each other. Um, I am a therapist in my paid work. I am a mom to four young adults and a plus one who lives at our house and a whole bunch of animals. I love walking and creating things. I've discovered that I'm a little bit of a Substack junkie. I really love writing and doing Substack lives. They are feeling really, really awesome. So I'm very excited about our topic today, which is living in the messy middle or something along those lines. So yeah, thank you so much, Courtney, for like reaching out and suggesting the topic. I think it's going to be a really relevant one for people. So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself and let's go.
Okay, well, yeah, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here and be having this conversation. Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Courtney. I'm the human behind Sacred Wave Wellness,
Mm.
and I'm an RMT, sound bath practitioner. I have my degree in health sciences with a minor in psychology, and just kind of overall fascinated with anything, yeah, human body related,
Mm.
behavior, nervous system, subconscious mind, and just kind of the way we move through life in general.
Mm.
That's kind of what I'm moving towards building, is connecting kind of all my pieces that I've learned over the years into one space, which is kind of how Sacred Wave Wellness was built.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool when I was thinking about today, I was thinking about like living in the messy middle and what that looks like. And I'm curious, like when you came up with the topic idea, what what kind of brought it to mind for you? Like where did that idea start? Because you said you've been doing a lot of writing around this lately, so I'm curious about that.
Yes. So basically, I am in it now.
Uh,
And
as much of our
which
writing often is, right? Yeah.
exactly. So that's what initially sparked the idea, because I feel like it's all kind of been coming together over the past 2 years, probably. And I've kind of been, as I'm sure, again, a lot of people can relate to, you feel like you want to do something, but then you convince yourself, like, oh no, like, can I actually do that? Can I actually build that? So it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of kind of convincing myself out of it. And which again is kind of also silly. Again, it's like so much easier to learn these things and teach other people than it is sometimes to apply it into your own life. Because again, like I have all this knowledge and like all the stuff that I've learned and that like I teach people and all this kind of stuff. And then when you're trying to do it, and I basically just got to the point where I was like, I just got to do it. I just have to start.
Mm.
And I think I also had this like big vision in my mind of the end goal. And I was getting so caught up in
Mm.
it must look this way and I can't do it until it's that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hang on now. There's like steps to get there. There's things you can do in the meantime.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the point I got to where I was like, I just need to start something and at least have a hub for this. And that's kind of what brought me to Substack in the first place.
Mhm.
Like I can at least be, yeah, kind of having this hub where I can be writing and I can be getting my voice out there. And I'm trying to do all these baby steps. This
Yeah.
live, for example, is a baby step in itself
Yay.
because yeah, just realizing all these like fears and things that are coming up around being seen and
Mm.
even just my voice being heard and all these things, right, kind of pop up.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask kind of a vulnerable question, and I always say this to my clients, you are totally welcome to say, I don't want to answer that question. But as you said that, I'm like, okay, so there were fears that came up for me as well. And so how okay are you with us sharing what our fears were coming into today?
Okay, yeah, I feel like I am willing to share
Go for it.
because I think yeah, I love getting vulnerable. I don't even know if that's a
Me
normal
too.
thing.
No, I do too. I don't understand how it's not everyone's default, but apparently it's not. So,
Yeah, which is yeah, kind of what I've come across too. But I just like I find I don't know. I always I think take the approach that if I share something, it's hopefully going to help somebody else.
Oh gosh, you know what, Courtney, I resonate with that so much. I have this approach to life which says if I want people to be something, I have to lead by example, and so I have to be willing to step into that space. So yeah. So what were your fears coming into today?
Yeah, so I think just yeah, I'm realizing, which again, I didn't really clue into this until
Mm,
I started, yeah, kind of wanting to do more things with Sacred Wave Wellness.
yeah.
And I realized that I do want to be doing more talks and leading
Mm,
groups because right now all of my stuff is one on one, which
yeah.
feels very comfortable.
Yeah.
And the thought of speaking in a group or
Mm,
doing these kind of things is just, yeah, it felt, originally I thought it felt like, oh, that's just not me.
mm,
I realized that, like, it is, but it's
yeah.
just because my nervous system doesn't
Mm,
feel safe in that yet. Because
yeah.
also I'm not putting myself in those positions to experience it, and your
Yeah.
nervous system isn't experiencing safety if
Yeah.
you're just not doing anything at all, because then it doesn't have any patterns to recognize.
Yeah.
And so that is a major fear of just like being
Yeah.
seen and like even just your opinions and your thoughts
Yeah.
being heard and yeah, just like all these things.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
again,
I love that because I think we're going to get into some of the nervous system pieces today. And it's funny, I was just at my RMTs literally an hour and a half ago for the past, yeah, I got home like half an hour before we started. And I was just telling her about some of the things I was doing on Substack. And she said, do you ever think about how much courage you are using to do this? And I was like, I mean, it doesn't really feel like it's taking a lot of courage, but then I was talking about, coming on with you this morning, and I'm like, yeah, for like last night, I was doing some morning pages for my Artist's Way at about midnight. And so, one of the things that I found myself writing was, I'm feeling really nervous about tomorrow. And it's like, wait, what is it bringing up for me? And um, it's interesting because, like, you were so prepared, which is lovely. I loved all the stuff you sent, but I read that and I went, "Oh, no, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna come across as, like, I don't know what I'm doing." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, where on earth is that coming from?" Like, that fear of, right? Like, I may not look like I know what I'm talking about. And that's, I mean, I've done some lots of writing about, like, grade 4 voice, which was this belief that I brought with me from my young years of, I'm not as smart as I think, but at least I'm really nice and people like me. And so whenever I get any kind of positive encouragement, good marks, it's just because I'm nice and people like me. It's not really because I know what I'm doing. And so for me, like, a large part of how I show up in my practice is just as a human. Um, and when someone says, "Oh, like, what's your expertise?" I'm like, I'm an expert on me." That's what I know. And so then last night I was like, thinking about like grounding. Okay, what can I do for my body? What can I do for the thoughts that are causing some of the upheaval within me? And just like thinking about, you know what, I'm just going to show up as me. Like I know what I bring to the table and what I bring well. So I don't have to show up any differently than that. I can just do that and it'll be enough. So yeah, it's thank you. Thank you for being willing to share your fears coming in as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that too, because I can definitely relate to a lot of those fears. It's also
Yeah.
just super refreshing to hear you say some of these things too, because I
Mm,
was thinking too, like before we were going live, I was like, oh, I just feel so unprepared because like this is my first live, and I was like, you've done so many of them, and it was
yeah.
yeah, you said like I was thinking like, oh, because I'm sure other people can probably relate to this too, of like when nerves hit, it feels
Yeah.
like your brain just kind of leaves the building,
Yeah.
and so it's like, oh yeah, am I gonna even yeah, come across well, or am I just gonna come across
Yeah.
super weird and people are gonna be like, "Who the heck is this lady?"
Well, you're coming across beautifully and very eloquently, so it's all good. I think we're on a good start here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm part of this, I get an email list that has like a quote for the day, and it's so fascinating to me how whenever I have one of these scheduled and it's like a specific topic, somewhere in the days ahead of time, a quote will come through that I'm like, oh, this feels like totally relevant to what we're talking about. And so I actually want to start out with the quote that came through a couple of days ago, and I'm terrible with names, so I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Bertus Berry. And Bertus writes, when change comes, you got to slow down and take note of it. In the midst of that change is all of the possibility in the world. And when I was thinking about, living in the messy middle, I'm that was one of the thoughts that came to mind for me is like when you are in that messy middle, it's often when change is happening. Um, and change feels really uncomfortable. Like it requires a lot of us. My kids are all autistic, and when they were younger, anytime a change happened, even like a good change, all hell would break loose. And I'd be like, we're going to Disneyland. Why are you guys all stressed, right? Like, come on, it's good change. And my friend always reminded me like change is change, like even good change. And I feel like that kind of leads into some of the messy middle pieces that you had identified. Um, yeah.
Exactly, because yeah, I think again, like in society, we're always kind of taught that
Mm,
things that you're working towards and your goals and your dreams, like it should just feel easy and it should be flowing and like you shouldn't be feeling any discomfort. But
yeah.
it's like so often because you're building into these things and you're stretching
Mm,
yourself and you are kind
mhm,
of like building your new identity at different points in time. I
yeah.
mean, you apply this to so many different things. Like right now for me, this is very like business related, but even just that funnels into so many other aspects of life. And yeah, so many even like choices we make and patterns we repeat and
Yeah.
all these kind of things are just everything is happening beneath conscious awareness, and so many things are ingrained in us from literally before we're 10 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if your nervous system is trained in that, then
Yeah.
anything that you're trying to build beyond that is going to feel uncomfortable and
Yes.
unsafe, and you're going to have all these things popping up, and you're kind of
Yeah.
going to, I've had many of these moments popping up of being like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and just as you were talking, I think like it's so relevant to like every area of life. You talked about business and personal, and I was thinking as an RMT, even there, like things are going to feel more uncomfortable before they start to feel more comfortable, right? Like I know today I was like, oh gosh, like I'm having headaches, and oh, that's a really tough spot, and yet. I come out of it and I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. And I mean, that's just like a microcosm of the journey, but I find, with clients as well, like saying sometimes when we start talking about things, it's actually going to feel worse before it feels better. Um, and thank you, Teresa, for your comment. I'm just like, oh, yeah, the biggest change in your life. Wow, yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you're here to join us on this. Yeah. And I think, relationships also came to mind. Like, my husband and I have been together for 33 years, married for almost 32. And when I work with couples who are like young in their journey, I'm always like, it's really hard work. Like, it takes a lot and it's not always fun. And it's so rewarding. And I think, change is like that. It can be really uncomfortable. And sometimes that discomfort is short and we can move through it quickly, but sometimes the messiness of it is long. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that's a important point as well, is like so often again I think we want to get through the messiness and we want to just push away the discomfort, push it down, get rid of it. And I think that's like
Yeah.
something as well that I've also like again has kind of been reflected back to me in so many aspects just
Mm,
out in life these days too, is like sometimes it's not even asking for you to do anything with the
mm,
discomfort necessarily. Like sometimes you just have to sit with it,
yeah.
allow it to be there, acknowledge it. And sometimes even just that will
Yeah.
either lessen it or sometimes it does just completely move through your body. Because
Yeah.
I think, again, yeah, we just like think like, oh, you should be feeling good and you should be feeling like
Right.
amazing the whole
Right.
time. You're like moving through all these things, or like, yeah, like there just shouldn't be any like discomfort, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, discomfort doesn't feel good, right? Like, I think there's a really natural part of being human that says, I don't want to feel this. And I remember early on in my counseling practice, I remember a client coming in and, we had been taught like the magic questions. So like the first question you say is, if tomorrow morning you woke up and all your problems were gone, like what would be different, right? And so I'm of course a new therapist. I'm following the protocol step by step. And so I asked the question and she says, well, I just don't want to have any anxiety. Like I want my anxiety to be gone. And I'm like, yeah, that's not actually gonna happen, right? And so we talked about like, yeah, your anxiety, like no matter how much we work on things here, the anxiety isn't just gonna disappear. But I use the metaphor of like right now it feels like anxiety is driving the car, and the goal is for you to feel like you're driving the car. And anxiety might be a passenger who's trying to give you some suggestions and advice, but you don't want them driving the car. Um, and yeah, just that sense of like sometimes the acceptance of what is allows us to actually live in a way that feels more directional and more grounded, right? So that's kind of what I heard you saying in that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a interesting point too, is like, yeah, with anxiety, for example,
Mm,
yeah, I think people always, again, because anxiety does not feel good. um, and yeah, we always just think like, oh, we've got to get rid of this, we've got to
mm,
eradicate it. But it's like with a lot of these things, a certain level is
mm.
needed. Like if you
Yeah,
just completely, same with fear, like if
yeah,
you completely got rid of all fear,
right.
then like you're not going to be getting the necessary fear that when you're standing near a cliff, you're not just going to like fall off and be like,
Right.
here we go. Right? So it's
Right.
like,
Like
oh,
understanding the adaptive origins of it. And yeah, I have to I have to show one of my favorite books right now. And I hope it'll show on the screen. I often find it's a challenge. So is it going to show? Okay, oh, it is. It's called Everyone Has a Sam. And I don't know if anyone has seen this book, but it's kind of internal family systems, but done like very, oh gosh, sorry, my lighting is not great here. I don't know if you can see. Oh, there we go. And so Sam is this presence, and Sam grows and grows and grows and has lots of words, and becomes very all-encompassing. And um, she, talks about like that process of um, just recognizing what Sam is actually bringing, and that Sam actually came from a place of trying to protect her. And so when she gets to a point where she can actually accept Sam instead of trying to push him away, Sam actually becomes this companion on the journey. And sometimes he's kind of way out there and she goes, "Yeah, whatever, Sam, I'm not listening to that." But sometimes he's like, "Whoa, wait, you just missed your turn." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." And so really kind of talking about that process of the pieces that sometimes feel like they take over, if we can accept them, understand them, acknowledge them, and really see like what was the adaptive purpose? Where did Sam come from? Why is Sam even there? Because a lot of times it is like that protective piece, right? Like going back to kind of the fears that we shared at the beginning, like I don't want to look stupid. And so where did that come from? Well, it was actually protective, because when I look stupid, I feel really vulnerable, and I um, can feel like I don't get to be myself. And so recognizing that, um, but then not allowing it to drive my car and keep me from stepping into things like this and being courageous anyways, right? So, um, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the key too of, yeah, like you said, more like integrating these things into your system. And I think
Mhm.
that's also a big piece is like having compassion for those parts
Yeah,
because, yeah,
yeah,
they did come from somewhere, right? Whether it's, yeah, like back when you were a child or experiences
yeah,
that you've had in adulthood, like a lot of these things came from somewhere, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, it's like having compassion for those parts. And again, just even that piece, I think, can shift a lot because I've had those experiences too
Mm,
where you're like, yeah, just get rid of this, get it out of there. But then the moment that you actually like sit with yourself or like sit in a
mm,
meditation or whatever it is for you and just like sit there and connect with that part and be like, okay, like, what are you trying to show me? Why are you here?
mm,
And just like allowing that to be there and allowing
mm,
you to also like get the message from that aspect.
mm,
And
mhm.
like you said, not letting it sit in the passenger seat with you and like, or yeah, in the driver's seat,
Yeah,
like having it in the back seat and
yeah,
still like allowing it to be there and just being like, yep, you're there, but I'm not allowing you to drive the car.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because as you were talking, I was like, just, sitting here and taking some nice deep breaths and just kind of like, yeah, okay, being present, grounding my body, and just, it was like, yeah, I think the thought that came as I was just kind of breathing and listening was, it feels very like fully embodied, like being fully present in myself and not pushing any parts of me away, but really just accepting all of me, and finding a way for all of those parts of me to work together to kind of be, yeah, authentic, grounded, genuine, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And I was kind of, yeah, as you were speaking to, um,
Mm,
I was like, oh, I'm gonna treat this as like a little test for myself too, to like,
mm,
yeah, like do the actual practices that again, like
mm,
I'm telling people to do, and like, yeah, like sit and breathe and actually like take a breath as you're speaking too,
mm,
and not just like rattle things out. Because yeah, I feel
yeah,
like, again, like you still feel all the things, right? Like you might still
yeah.
feeling the activation of like your nervous system and
Mhm.
feeling the uncertainty and the what the heck are you doing moments.
Ah,
But yeah, it's just like, okay, I think this is also where like embodiment comes in too, of like
yeah,
doing those practices, whether it's breath, which again, if it's in like a moment, obviously you're not going to be like pausing to do a meditation or something, but even
yeah,
just small things of like, okay,
yes,
even just as you're talking, like
yeah,
breathing all the way
Yeah.
down to the belly and like doing those embodiment practices, because those are also what creates safety in the body
Yeah.
while you're moving through these things.
Yeah.
And you're not allowing it to kind of like stop you, right? You can still like move forward. And then that is also in itself a signal that, okay, you got this, you can do this.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, the practice part of it is so important, and I think, sometimes I'll say to clients, like, just every evening as you're getting ready for bed, like, lie down in your bed and just practice taking 5 deep abdominal breaths, just to start practicing it, because it's so much harder to use skills when you haven't practiced them in times when you are calm. Your default isn't going to be to go to that. And I love what you said about like small moments, because yeah, sometimes we do have expansiveness in our schedule that allows us to do like a guided meditation or some sort of grounding practice. But a lot of times our life is actually really fast paced and busy, and we might not have time. And I remember, so my kids they're all exactly 20 months apart. So my oldest and my youngest share a birthday 5 years apart. So life when they were little was super intense. And I remember like there was no space for me. And yet I needed to be grounded because I didn't know at that time that they were on the spectrum. There was a lot of chaos and they needed somebody to be steady. And so it's like, how do you steady yourself when you are living constantly in the midst of chaos and yet you are who everyone is depending on to be steady? And so I remember, um, even going to the washroom, they would follow me into the washroom. It's like, I can't even get space in the washroom. And the one place I found that they didn't follow me into was the laundry room. And so I would put on a show and I would step into the laundry room and I'd close the door and I'd lean against it and I would just breathe. And like just, take breaths, like, I've got this, I can do this, we're going to get through this. Nice deep breaths. And then I'd step back out and, resolve whatever issue happened while I was gone for a minute and a half. But it was, not big long moments, but I needed something. And so I'm curious, do you have like some favorite go-to practices that it could be a combination of small practices like, a minute or less, or it could be also some longer practices. What are some favorites that you go to?
Yeah, this is an excellent point because, yes, I also see this so much in my practice too, of
Mm,
everyone's like, no, I don't have the time to do that. But I
yeah.
also think like, yeah, there's so many short practices that you can do at any time,
Yeah.
even like without people even realizing you're doing it. And I
Yes.
think, yeah, right? Like you could just like, I mean, we've been doing it here, like we said, like just
Mhm.
breathing. I mean, that's yeah, one of the most easy ones that you can do.
Yeah.
Um,
And so
because
powerful. Like, I think people underestimate the power of breathing, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
and it's such an easy tool that we all have access to. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause I even see that so much in my practice too, is I usually like start off with a breath, and sometimes I have people say to me, I mean, I've even like gone to see some practitioners too, and they ask me like, "Oh, do you ever just like notice that you stop breathing as you're treating?"
Mm,
And I just like that kind of took
mm,
me aback because I was like, "No." But I can see how like it's so easy to do that, right?
yeah,
Because you just get so busy and you get in the go, go, go.
yeah,
And just even like, I think it does allow you to, when you take that time, like you were saying too, like in that laundry room, it
mm,
gives you that space to
mhm,
even just take, yeah, if it's like a minute and a half and you're just taking that space to breathe. And
yeah,
then I think it just like allows you to come back into yourself so that you can move forward with whatever you need to do in the next moment, right?
mhm,
And so I think, yeah, like I mentioned, like breath is the easiest
mm,
one. And because I think that one I've noticed can shift people so fast
yes,
because so many of us, again, are so used to breathing from your chest, which
yeah,
again kind of signals the nervous system to be heightened all the time because then it's kind of simulating that feeling if you've had like a panic attack before. it's
Yeah.
simulating that similar feeling. And so if you drop down and breathe into the belly and like take those like really deep breaths, that's
Mhm.
like, again signaling safety to your nervous system and your body.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that, which like you
Yeah.
can do when you're even just talking to
Yeah.
people. And then
Yeah.
if you do have like those couple minutes like between meetings or between transitioning from like work to home and just like
Mhm.
a breath before you walk through a door,
Yeah.
just like something as simple as that. And then obviously there is like so many other practices. That's also like something that I am very passionate about too, is like giving people these embodiment practices, whether it's
Mhm.
short ones, which I really love because again, like so many people are, they've got busy lives and their
Mhm.
parents. There's, yeah, you've got like lots of moving parts, and so I think quick things are
Mhm.
very like accessible. And then obviously there's all these bigger practices that you can be
Mhm.
doing as well.
Yeah, I had a couple as you were talking, I thought of a couple of different ones that come to mind for me. Um, one is one that I actually use a lot in my office. I've gotten much better about sticking to my 50-minute hours so that I have like 10 minutes to like grab a coffee, go to the washroom. Sometimes, especially when I'm like switching from an in-person to a video session, I have like I can go right until exactly on the hour. And so I've had moments where like I'll look at how much time I have and I might have 2 minutes. I will actually set my alarm for 2 minutes and I will lie down on the couch, close my eyes, do some breathing. And it always amazes me how even something that short makes a total difference. I get up and I'm like, ooh, wow, I feel refreshed. One that a friend of mine shared with me a while ago that I is also it's fun and it's silly is the Superman pose. So just standing kind of tall, arms on your waist, shoulders back, and again just like pretending you're Superman and taking again the nice. I think it does all of the opening up the chest, allowing the breathing really to move through. Um, and then the other one that I think of is the butterfly hug, where, you put your hands kind of on the front of the bone and you just slowly kind of and again, this is best coupled with a nice slow breathing. And, I will sometimes will say to clients, if you don't want to use this because you're in a meeting and it's really obvious, cross your arms like this over your knees and just slowly tap your knees under the table. And again, it's just that rhythmic back to back grounding practice. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Joe says in the ER, a doctor actually touched my lower leg and said the pain is heightened when you hold your breath, let it go and breathe. Oh man, yeah. And it's amazing how when we become anxious or when we have pain, I think often our default is to tense and to actually make it worse. Um, yeah. Did any other practices come to mind as I was kind of talking through some of those?
Yeah, one that I like to use too, which like, yeah, maybe you don't want to be doing this in like the presence of other people, but yeah, if you can like, I mean, I definitely do because at work,
Mhm.
we're all kind of holistic practitioners, so no one cares what you're doing. If it looks weird, it looks weird. Um,
I love that.
but just like a shaking it out practice, it is
Yes.
amazing how much that just like gets it out of your system. Like literally just taking
Yeah.
again, like it could be 30 seconds, a minute, like however long you want to do it. And literally just, I mean, you could even do it when we're sitting here too. You don't have to be
Yeah.
standing. But yeah, just like shaking out your hands, and, like shaking out your body.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love doing it standing and literally just like
Yeah.
shaking your entire body out
Yeah.
and just like letting it go, like letting
Yeah.
it leave your body.
Yeah. Well, movement is another like breathing is really significant, but I think movement is so significant. Like even that makes me think of even like really quickly like running on the spot. It's kind of that same like the same mechanism as the shaking it out piece where you're just moving. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if we wanted, I could like guide everyone who's here and like guide us through a short little
I would love
embodiment
that.
practice.
I would love that. I think that would be wonderful. Yeah, let us know what we can do, and let's do it.
Okay, well, yeah, whoever wants to join us, I invite everyone to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Obviously, unless you're operating any heavy machinery or moving
Please don't.
vehicles, please don't. Now, I want you to bring something to mind in your life right now that feels uncertain or unresolved. And just notice what immediately happens in your body. And try not to attach a story to it. Just notice what you feel in your body. Do you feel tense, heart racing, a heaviness somewhere? And instead of trying to solve it for a moment, just place a hand wherever it is and just bring awareness to it and notice. Can I stay present with this sensation without immediately trying to escape it? And then just take one slow breath in. Hold at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale all the way out. And again, slow inhale. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale all the way out. And one more time. Slow inhale. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale and let it go. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the space. And just notice how you feel. Notice if anything's shifted, if that sensation has moved anywhere, moved out of your body perhaps. And I think just that right there is part of the work because, yeah, you aren't necessarily trying to eliminate the sensation as we talked about before, but you're just showing your body that you can stay present with the discomfort, as well as obviously there is the possibility that just within that one session you might move it through your body completely, which is great. And then it might pop up again. And that is okay, because again, it's just part of the process. You're learning to stay present inside yourself, which again is just the whole thing, I think, as much as possible throughout the day too, when you're noticing any activation coming up and any like uncertainty, or, you know, you can attach your own word in there. You can move through these things and keep moving along while your life kind of exists. I love that, Joe. Feel like you have to cry. That's another thing too, is like you might feel like emotions coming up or like sensations in your body. And I think also just, yeah, you might not even expect it popping up and you're kind of like, whew, where is this coming from? And I think just again, like I always tell people and my clients and everything, just like if it feels comfortable to do so, like just let it out, let it come up, let it come out. Because again, that's a processing thing too, is like, you're letting it move through your body. You don't want it to necessarily like stay in there and stay stuck. Sometimes like it takes a while for things to move through and like feel okay to let go. So I think as much as possible, like giving yourself that permission to let it.
Well, and I think too, like if anyone else joined on that exercise and wants to drop into the chat kind of what came for them, feel free to do so. I'd love to hear it. But just the reminder for me of like, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Because yeah, it could be that emotions come up or tears. I think sometimes, yay, that's awesome, Joe. Sometimes like yawning or just tiredness or settledness, right? Or for me, I found, well, it was interesting because it was like, oh, first I thought, oh, heart, it feels heart. And then it was like, no, it actually feels like voice, like in here. And the thing that I brought to mind is actually something that's not resolvable. Um, it's just a heaviness that I sit with. And I've tried resolving it for years and years and years, and it's not happening. And so coming to that place of acceptance of, okay, it is what it is. And like you said, like somehow I have to find a way to stay present and be there in the midst of it. And so as we were doing the breathing exercise, I found the only way I can describe it is a lengthening. Instead of like feeling like this tight knot right here that was like holding my heart and my voice hostage, it felt like it was like this lengthening. And so hasn't resolved anything, hasn't changed anything, but maybe has given me more of a sense of presence in the midst of it. And so, yeah, just as I was thinking about that, like whatever each of you may have experienced in that exercise, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just that being present and accepting fully whatever it is that comes up. Um, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for guiding us through that.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it would be nice to just do a little practice there because I think, that was like a minute.
yeah.
And I think, again, you can just feel so much shift in a short amount of time, which I think is, yeah, just like a nice thing to like show yourself, show people that it doesn't have to be like it's great if you have more time to be dropping into a longer practice, but
Yeah.
yeah, just even like taking those little breaks throughout your day too, and just that can make a huge difference in itself in kind of, again, training your nervous system that, like, okay, even if things are going on externally, like, you can still bring it back to yourself and
Mhm.
do a breath or do a short exercise.
Mhm.
And the more you train yourself to do that and it becomes habit, the
Yeah.
more you're, I mean, it brings it into like the subconscious. It's like ingraining those pathways, and it's like
Yeah.
training the nervous system that, like, okay, I can still like be in my body, remain calm, even if things are crazy, and I can like bring myself back.
Yeah. And I think back to what you said right at the beginning when we started, where you said, like, you're living in the messy middle right now, and recognizing that, yeah, I have this place that I want to get to, but when I was just focused on that, it kept me from actually moving towards it. And so, the way to do it was through little steps. And I think um, that is just such a great description of change because I think we often feel like change has to be this big thing. And I remember reading a thing on New Year's resolutions, and people make New Year's resolutions, and it's like by the end of the first week of January, I think it was like 50% of people have already dropped their resolution. And by the end of January, I think it was something like 90 or 95% of people have already, dropped their resolution. And the encouragement was, don't make a big resolution, because usually that ends up being, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to become healthy. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. I'm going to, we have like this whole list of things that we're going to do. And I remember, the encouragement being, pick one little thing that you can start doing today and that you can repeat tomorrow, and you can repeat the day after, and you can repeat the day after until it becomes so ingrained that it's a natural part of your process, and then pick the next thing. And so when I hear you say like, yeah, like just practice this little piece, and it doesn't have to be a big practice. It can just be like that short 1 minute practice, or it can be 5 deep breaths when you're getting ready to go to bed in the evening, or a breath before you enter your meeting space, or whatever it looks like. Change in our bodies, in our life, happens with these little steps consistently over time. And so I love that reminder.
Yeah, and I think something that just popped into my head too as you were speaking is patience as well, because I
Mm,
think this is something I'm so guilty of and definitely do not have perfected. I still have so many moments because patience is not my strong suit. But I think I just constantly remind myself, like, just be patient with yourself because, yeah, it's all about these like baby steps, which I think is very helpful because, yeah, like I stated before, I was just like seeing the big picture and like couldn't get past it and was like, well, how am I going to get there? That feels so
yeah,
far away. But it's like, yeah, these baby steps, which again also trains your system because then those baby steps you can check off and be like, okay, I did that. I got
yeah,
through it. I did it. And then, yeah, like you say, it just becomes part of who you are.
yeah,
And then that is what allows you to also grow into the things
yeah,
that you want to build. And then
yeah,
allows you to also hold them too. Because a lot of times, if you're jumping 50 steps ahead, it's like, okay, you might occasionally get that thing or build that thing, but then you haven't actually built the capacity
mm,
to hold on to it
yeah,
because you skipped all these other little steps. And then you think, oh, well, I'm just not meant to have that. Or, oh, I
yeah,
screwed up.
yeah,
So I think it's like having that patience with yourself to
yeah,
also, like, when you do still get activated or you still do have uncertainty pop up, is just having that voice being like,
yeah,
this isn't a step backwards. I'm not, I shouldn't, this isn't, I shouldn't have this. This is like,
yeah.
oh, I'm still learning. You're still allowed to fail and you're still allowed to make mistakes. And that doesn't mean stop.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, there's a whole bunch of words. I'm writing them down as we're going here because I'm like, oh, because curiosity was one of the words that came to mind. Like, if we can, rather than, oh, I failed or I didn't do what I wanted to do, just allow ourselves to be curious about it. Oh, that was interesting. So that didn't exactly turn out the way I thought it might. I wonder what that's all about. Like, just again, opening possibility of discovering something about ourselves. Um, and I also thought like wisdom. And Joe, I was reading your comment about, yeah, I had this tool and then I didn't use it because I panicked. I see that I forgot about it. I walked away. And it made me think again, like, yeah, the tool might be a really good tool. And maybe it felt a little overwhelming in that moment. And so sometimes I think having wisdom too, like we don't only want to stay in a comfortable space, but we also don't want to push ourselves so far outside of our window of tolerance that we freeze and can't do anything to actually grow. And so, like, sustainability, like, whatever I do, it has to be something. It might be stretching and scary, but not so much that it shuts me down. And so, like, for you today, Courtney, to step into this space and take courage to do something new is awesome. But it didn't shut you down. It was more of that fluttery, this is something different, which is good change, right? And so I think having wisdom to also pay attention to what's going on for us, because something that may feel fine at one point may actually be too much for us in a different situation. And so having kind of the wisdom to know how can I show up in a way that is actually sustainable and expanding and growing, but doesn't put me into shutdown. Yeah.
Exactly. Because, yes, this live is a good example because, yeah, I was like very uncomfortable with this whole concept. And of course, my body is, yeah, like getting activated. And at
Yeah.
the beginning, for anybody who was noticing our struggle in the beginning with technology,
Oh man.
and then my initial reaction, because like I was already feeling a bit nervous, and then yeah, we were having literally all the technological issues. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? And then, of course, then I kind of got into a bit of like panic mode and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, now I'm even more activated. And I just took a moment and I was like, you know what? Like, no,
Yeah.
you're not popping in right now. Because my perfectionist parts were like coming up strong. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this isn't going like how I thought it was going to go. And this isn't
Yeah.
like perfectly like popping up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You're okay. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, and it was for me, it was, like, a little frustrating because it's like, "Oh, all of these things have never happened before, and now they're happening all at the same time, and it's your first time." And so, I mean, people weren't part of our discussion ahead of time, but I asked Courtney, because Courtney said, "Oh, no, I'm feeling really nervous," and I was like, "Okay, so we're gonna go in, we're gonna do introductions. I usually would let you introduce yourself first, but do you want me to introduce myself so you have some time to breathe and kind of gather yourself?" And Courtney, you were like, "Yeah, that would be great." So we kind of worked with that. And again, I think just the humanness of being willing to say that, like, I'm feeling really nervous right now. And then, like, we can work together because I wasn't feeling nervous. I was more frustrated that technology was being stupid. But I wasn't, frustrated, or I wasn't feeling nervous about the live at that point. And so I was able to step in that way and just give you a few moments. And I'm really thankful that you were willing to, like, launch right in with vulnerability and be like, okay, let's put our fears on the table. Let's tell everyone what's freaking us out about being here today. And what I have been finding in doing the lives is that the more I show up with that, it reads as vulnerability to me, to me, to others, is the feedback that I keep getting from people, like, wow, that was so vulnerable. And I'm like, that actually didn't feel vulnerable to me, it just felt authentic. But I'm finding that as I show up with just authenticity and, like, "Here's who I am, take it or leave it, like, I hope you like me, I hope you like what I'm doing, but if I don't and there's something that's fitting you better, like, go for it, that's okay too." There's something, I think, for people that feels really grounding about that. And so I thank you, Courtney, because you also showed up willing to just be vulnerable and be real and to share some of your knowledge and wisdom. And yeah, it's been really awesome. Thank you for bringing yourself and your skills to this live. Do you have any, like, closing thoughts that you want to share with people?
Yeah, I think just again, thank you for having me and having this conversation. And thank you to everyone who's on the live. And Joe, thank you for all your
Yeah.
vulnerable moments too. I think like that's just super nice too. And yeah, I think this has just been like a fun conversation. And I think it's made me also want to be like, "Ooh, I want to do more of these." Because I think also
Yay.
just getting in that, what I think helps me too is like, I always thought this was kind of funny when people were like, "Oh, tell yourself that you're excited instead of like nervous."
Yeah.
And like the whole week kind of leading up, I was like trying to talk about it in like an excited tone of being like, "Yeah, I'm excited about this. It's going to be great." And
Yeah.
I think like it actually does really help because it's like you get kind of more in that state of like, again, kind of nervousness is associated, I think, with certain like
Yeah.
feelings and has a bit more of a like negative connotation, I guess, to it.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm just going to treat it as more like excitement and like whatever comes comes, which
Yeah.
again, like I'm trying to, yeah, train myself to like more go with the flow of things and
Yeah.
just like that sort of thing. So I think it was just like a nice kind of tester for me as well. And I
Yeah.
think kind of my parting words for everyone, I think, is just like, yeah, just like be patient with yourself in whatever you're moving through in life. And I think just give yourself that permission to like take pauses for yourself. Like, I think so many people as well, just like, which is so easy to do because again, kind of society, we're trained to like be in that go, 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 like hustle and grind. And I think just like
Mhm.
giving yourself that permission to like take moments of slow down for yourself, that whether it's like longer practices or whether it's, yeah, just like before you're stepping through a doorway, just like take a couple deep breaths,
Mhm.
just like drop back into yourself, drop back into your body. And I think even just that, like just you breathing is like, I think you can notice a lot of big shifts just from that in like how you're moving through your day and like how you kind of move from one thing to the next. And even just like I've noticed for myself too, like just my own creativity and like how I'm able to
Mhm.
show up for my clients, for myself, for my friends and family. Like it just allows you, I think, to more, yeah, like drop down in your own body and self. And I think,
Mhm.
like you were saying, like I think it just allows you to like be more authentic as well
Mhm.
because you are not necessarily like living up in your head the whole time.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of like, the overthinking and overanalyzing and you're questioning,
Years.
like, oh, is anybody even liking this? Is da 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 da,
Yeah.
could go on. So I think, yeah, just like giving yourself that opportunity to like check in with yourself or take that moment and drop in.
Yeah. Well, and as you were talking, I was like, I just want to tell people, like, whether you're going to do a Substack live or you're just in life in general, like, my words would be like, just show up as yourself. And that sense of, it feels like so many of us carry this not enoughness with us. And so just like wanting to say, like, you're enough, like, just to show up as who you are is enough. You don't have to show up any differently. And there's something about showing up as who you are that feels like that full embodiment, because now I'm in my body, I'm grounded, I'm here, I'm present. Um, you know, so many different things touching on that locus of control. Like, I have control within me rather than being at the whim of everything that's going on around me. All of that, just groundedness. So, wherever you find yourself today, like, just show up as yourself and know that you're enough. And there's something really beautiful that happens when we show up as ourselves. We think that people are going to not like it or that people are going to judge it. And I find so often when people show up as genuinely themselves and real, it actually does exactly the opposite. It like draws people in. And so, yeah, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I'm so glad that you took me up on I think it was I did one of those little, hey, if you want to collaborate, hit me up. I'm good to collaborate. And there were a few people that reached out, so I've got a few more coming up. But you were one of the first who reached out, and I'm so glad you did. This has been really good. So
Yeah, I feel like this sparked so many things, and I'm like, oh, just even in
totally,
this short conversation. I mean, I feel like this is such a big topic. We probably could have gone on for hours, but
totally. And we can always do another one sometime, right? So
yeah, now
yeah.
I'm into it. Now I'm like, yes, let's go.
Well, and I find that's the lovely thing about these lives is that, like, ideas spark as you're talking with each other. It's like, oh, as you were saying that, this is what came to mind for me. And that's the part I love about these collaborations is you don't have to come in totally prepared and knowing exactly what the script is and what you're going to say. You can just, again, show up as yourself and see what comes up as you just explore that. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I Here in Canada for us, it is a long weekend. I think down in the US, it's a long weekend as well. And so, wherever you're tuning in from, if you are heading into the weekend, I wish everyone a wonderful time. And thank you for everyone who joined us and participated in the chat. And thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, happy long weekend for everyone that has a long weekend. And I hope everyone takes some time for themselves.
Yes. And breathes.
Yes, breathe.
Breathe. Famous last words.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. See you next time.